center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Starbucks with Jim and Donardo. I, of course, am Anthony Donardo. With me, as always, every Wednesday morning, Jim Rosati. What up?
Good morning, Donardo. I didn't know if we were going to do this today.
Hey, don't tell them. Don't tell them. You don't need to let them know that I've been awake for 15 minutes right now.
That's great. Yeah, no, it was texted you 10 minutes ago. But
Yeah.
Hey, I'm ready to go.
What was my response, word for word?
I think you said, let's see here. Let me get that pulled up.
I think it's quite telling where I was when you texted me.
All right, should be ready in 5, and then you said, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's, I don't know.
yeah.
I'm gonna give myself built-in excuses, Jim, because that's what I do. I went
That's
to bed.
fine.
I had a huge migraine last night. Went to bed, and I don't remember alarms going off this morning. Well, I guess I remember one, but if you know me, I have like 4 alarms set up every morning to wake up. I remember the one. Don't remember the other 3 until the sound of your text coming through. So
It's fine. I've done it before. So that was 3 weeks ago. I just forgot to wake up.
right. Hey, there you go. So
Hey, that's what you can expect from the #1 Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, right?
the number 1 Pittsburgh
Number one.
Pirates podcast. I like that. I like that plug. You're right. We're the number 1 podcast according to
Some website. out there.
Wiley looks up my mail again. Feed Buzz, isn't it Feed Buzz?
Feed Buzz. Yeah, I think that was right.
Okay. So yeah, there's a shock. I don't know. I got an email. We got an email yesterday, Jim. Said a panel of 25 people. How about that? A panel of 25 selected us, the number 1 Pittsburgh Pirates podcast.
All it took was Ryan leaving.
That's all it took. Hey, Ryan left. You came on. Clearly, it's not Tyler.
Actually, it might be all Tyler.
You think it's Tyler?
Let's just give all the credit to Tyler.
Man, I don't know. That's a bad move. That is a bad move. I can't. NS9 Live tomorrow night will not be good if we give all the credit to Tyler. This guy already thinks he can hit off of Kyle Hendricks, and now he believes he's going to turn this into the number 1 podcast. We're not going to have a screen big enough to fit his face on the show.
Plus, he now claims to be the smartest Pirates fan because you guys let him win Pirates Jeopardy.
You're right.
The off season.
We can't do this. No, I hope he's not listening here either. He is not the reason this is number 1. Which, by the way, also a nice plug. Let's go ahead and put that in here. A few things, some house cleaning, if you may, as Ryan used to always put it. So we do have, today is the 9th. So it's just a few days away, actually. The backpack raffle, I've been tweeting it out. Just so you guys are listening and know, every year we go ahead and do a raffle. You know, the Pirates Charities backpacks are up for, I guess, donation for sale. During the Pirate games, they're $250 a bag. And like we said, not everyone has $250 that they can spend to get a bag. So we've always thought, why don't we go ahead and we can do like a semi-raffle type thing. So we have a GoFundMe out there. Check the Twitter, the webpage, anything, whatever. We have it out there. But all it takes is $10 for a ticket, gets you entered. For every $10 you donate, you get a ticket for. Once we get every $250 increments. Right now we have over 750, so we have 3 bags to give away. Again, how much we donate depends on how many we give away. And last year, Jim, we gave away 9. We collected 2,250 bags. So pretty cool. I was hoping to do better. I know it's a rough year this year to do so, and this was more last minute than normal. But yeah, jump on that. We'll be giving away. It's this Saturday that they're doing it. And then also, like you mentioned, Jim, what else we have coming up? Well,
what else do we have going on?
The NS9 Jeopardy.
Oh yeah, I guess it's crazy to think about it, but like it's September 9th. There's only 3 more weeks left in this season.
That's
and
it.
The season's almost over.
I know. I have so many issues with, because everything's still small sample size. You know, in the world of baseball, this is like sacrilegious to be talking about these people's stats and records right now. But like you mentioned, there's just 3 weeks left, so you have to. But yeah. So as mentioned, NS9 Jeopardy will be making its return this off season. Every 4 weeks we'll have it, and actually it starts on October. Now I don't have the date, but October 8th will be the first one. So if you want to be a contestant, we're going to find out and figure out how we're going to do this. But you got a little bit over a month and a day till it starts. But yeah, be on the lookout. And it's NS9 Jeopardy returning. All right, I'm done with the house.
Should be exciting. Yeah.
Oh, it will be, Jim. It will be. Okay. We're not the number 1 Pittsburgh podcast for no reason.
All right. You know what though? No one else has the production ability on the Jeopardy. It's a great game.
Of course. And unfortunately, Tyler was the crowning champion last year. He was the smartest Pirate fan. He went through his regular Jeopardy game and then the Battle of Champions, and he ended up winning. So again, Jim,
he had to have cheated.
Can't let him
he had to have been cheating somehow.
You think?
Yeah, he had to have been cheating. I don't believe it.
I think he had like his Google Home behind him, you know?
Yeah.
And he just
it was just
muted the mic.
Feeding it to him.
Right. He just let Ryan ask the answer, and it came back with a question.
Yep. I think that's what it was.
All right. So let's get to a team that clearly does not cheat. And if they do, they're bad at it. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Hey.
Yeah, not cheating, that's for sure.
They're definitely not cheating, but they're kind of winning. Kind of. I mean, if you think about it, they've won 7 of the last 15. That's kind of crazy to think.
Are you looking at, like, do you have a way to like put a start date in there and to see what the record has been since this particular date?
The record?
Yeah. Like, what's their record since August 9th?
Since August 9th. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll look at the schedule.
Okay.
So since August 9th, I assume I know where you're going with this. So that was an L to Detroit. So 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, 1-5, 2-5, 3-5, 4-5, 4-6, 4-7, 4-8, 4-9, 5-9, 5-11, 5-12, 5-13, 6-13, 6-14, 7-15, and 8-16, Jim. Yep, 8-15. So
okay.
What do you think?
Still not good.
No. But they were playing worse than that.
Yeah. I mean, that basically gives them a 1 out of 3, right?
Basically.
Since then, which is a lot better than what they were doing up to that point. But I picked August 9th for a reason, Bernardo, because that is when Miguel Del Pozo was sent down.
That's a big
thing. And so since that day, I was tweeting about it on Sunday a little bit. The Pirates' bullpen, DiNardo, has been the 6th best in baseball since Miguel Del Pozo has left the team. 3.78 earned run average, even after yesterday, Neverauskas just being terrible. 3.78 earned run average, 6th best in the league over that period of time. Which is just insane to think about because of how bad. Like, just think about what this bullpen was like at the beginning part of this year. They were just giving up. I mean, you couldn't go an inning without them giving up 2 runs.
Right. Right. I mean, it was bad.
And so ever since actually August 8th, ever since August 8th, 3.78 earned run average over 109 and 2/3 innings, averaging over 10 strikeouts per 9. They've been good. They've been one of the best bullpens in the majors. Kind of crazy to think about.
It really is. And I know it's one of the, I mean, it is a shortened season, right? As we talked about. And in this small sample, we had a very, very rough start to this year, especially pitching wise in the bullpen, like you mentioned. So it's kind of like just embedded in our head that this bullpen is bad. But I feel like even before the Miguel DFA, you were the one that mentioned that, I mean, there's some bad pieces, but there are some serviceable pieces here. And it seems as if, like a lot of teams who usually are afforded a longer season, right? They've started to figure out this bullpen, finding out who really should belongs in it and who shouldn't. I mean, there's still a Neverauskas in it, so they haven't totally figured it out, but you're kind of right. I mean, this has solidly turned into I'm not going to say good, because there might be a little bit of playing out their ass right now. It's a small sample too, but they've definitely been like, they've patched things up. They haven't been. I mean, Sam Howard's come pretty clutch. Stratton's looked good all year. He had that really bad outing that like hurt his numbers, I want to say, but he's looked pretty solid. Like there have been, even Rich Rod has looked solid. So I'm with you. And even like when you look at the total stats, right, the total season right now, without that small sample, Jim, when you look at it, like the Pirates bullpen rank 17 in baseball, and that's middle of the pack-ish, and that's even with all those bad starts. So it tells you you're right. I mean, they start out really, really bad, but they really have patched things together.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I mean, Richard Rodriguez, for example. Rich Rod with over 12 strikeouts per 9 innings right now. He's really, ever since moving into that, he's kind of taken over that closer's role because of Ella and Birdie being out.
Mm-hmm.
He's looked really good. And yeah, so I think there's some bright spots. The one guy I have been really impressed with, and I think it's legit. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I was very harsh on this guy.
Yes.
I was very harsh on him all of last season and really the beginning of this year. But Geoff Hartley has been a really good pitcher this year. And he's really coming in from a lot of different situations. He's been able to kind of be that guy where if there is a jam, like I can't remember how many times he's had to come in with runners on first and second. Or I think there was a game he came in with the bases loaded and nobody out. He's inheriting all these runners and he's stranding them all. When he's coming in, he's pitching sometimes multiple innings.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a really valuable guy for that bullpen. And I thought really, it was probably about a week ago, I was like, okay, I'm noticing him, but some of the underlying statistics, I don't know if this is real or not. But really in the last week, those underlying statistics, the peripherals, have kind of caught up to the real life numbers. And DiNardo, he's a good pitcher. Like Like I'm serious. Like I'm looking at his page. I'm looking at his Statcast, and he is a legitimate good major league reliever.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see because I mean it's pretty clear that he's a good guy. You kind of you follow him on Twitter. He seems fun. Like I mean, but last year was just such a disaster for him. And who knows? Maybe last year had a lot to do with being injured. I know that came out, but so far this year he's been great. Sub 2 earned run average. Just his ground ball rate is through the roof. Yeah, so Jeff Hartley getting the job done. That's been one of the brightest spots of this season, I think.
I'm with you. I'll tell you what, Jeff Hartley was a guy I was intrigued about last year. Maybe to the degree of like Brubaker, this year. It's not like, oh, I can't wait for Brian Hayes to come up. Like that's a studly guy. He's probably going to be good. That's why you're waiting for him. But Jeff Hartley was kind of like that Brubaker. Like, here's a guy no one's really talking about. And you're not looking for to be a star, but I think he could be a very good piece in that bullpen. And obviously last year it didn't happen for Jeff Hartley, but I'm sure he soured on a lot of fans, a lot of people. Now, granted, I still look at this, it's still small sample, and that's just what sucks right now about this entire season. But to the degree of just saying, you are correct. Like the number, like the ERA stuff's there. The Statcast is now kind of backing up. Like it's kind of normalized a little bit. He's gotten more innings pitched, more stuff behind him. And right, you look at his Statcast page, there's more red. I mean, we're not gang affiliated, but if you look at Statcast, you want to be more blood affiliated and not Crip. And that's what Jeff Hartley is right now. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, I've always been a big proponent, and you'll always hear me say this. Like when something like changes with a person, right? Last year he was bad. This year he's air quotes good. What also has fundamentally changed? If there's nothing that fundamentally changed, I have a hard time really buying into it. But that is also what's happened with Jeff Hartley. Last year he threw the 4-seamer. He threw it 40% of the time, and it got wrecked. People hit 320 off of it. And he's completely scratched it. He has not thrown a 4-seamer once this entire season. He is simply a sinker, slider pitcher. Both pitches are performing very well. The numbers show. And to me, again, the fundamental change tells me that this is probably more legit than just smoke and mirrors. So, like, I'm with you. I still want to see a little more from him. I don't think this is going to be like a career 190 ERA guy now all of a sudden. But I think that you're right. We have possibly found a nice, solid piece to that bullpen for the upcoming future.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback with what you said, last year he was 4-seam, changeup, sinker, slider. This year he's thrown 3 changeups, but the rest have been all sinkers and sliders. And the movement on those pitches has been excellent. He's in the top 5% in all of baseball in vertical movement on his sinker. He's in the top 5% in all of baseball in horizontal movement on his slider. So he's got 2 pitches that, based off of how much they move, they seem to be pretty elite pitches in the majors. So that is great to see. Like you mentioned, the 4-seam fastball got rocked last year, and he has not thrown one all year long.
Isn't it amazing? Just stop throwing the pitch that you get wrecked on, and things can happen.
Yeah. Now, he also got pretty wrecked last year on the sinker, if I remember correctly. His sinker also got crushed, and really so did his slider.
So, you know what?
They were both. He was just all around bad last year.
Yeah. Also, you are correct. He threw his sinker 30% of the time, and people hit 450 off his sinker. So, okay.
Yeah.
So
that's not good. Not good. But this year, it's just he's been able to just stick to those 2 pitches. They've been great. He's getting really soft contact. When it is hard, it's going straight into the ground. The ground ball rate, again, through the roof. I think it's in the high 50s, a high 50%, so it's around 60% ground ball rate. So yeah, he's getting the job done. And he's kind of been that. Honestly, I mean, he reminds me a lot of like Jared Hughes, but probably with even better stuff. I don't remember Jared Hughes being able to pump it, 90, 95, 90, 96 sometimes like Hartley can. And you look at Hartley's pitches, and like we mentioned, the movement on him.
Yeah.
You can just tell just by watching him pitch. That sinker, it dances around. The slider, he's got good pitches, and so far so good. Big step forward from where he was last year. Still needs to work on the walks. He's still walking too many people, but when you're getting 60% ground balls, that kind of helps you out a little bit on the walks because you can kind of just eliminate them pretty quickly.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'd like to see the walks cut down too, but if that's really the only way he's allowing people to get on base, it's not going to kill you. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like that too. I've been impressed with Geoff Hartley. He has really stood out, like you mentioned. He's been the glue, I feel like, to this bullpen, because you're also right too in the sense where he's always, it seems like, coming into jams. He himself, could give up 2 or 3 runs, I feel like, almost every time he comes into the game because of the inherited runners. And then there goes that bullpen ERA that you're touting right now, that's been performing so well. So yeah, I think like he really has been that glue to this bullpen right now. He's getting over to the late innings guys, which again, like they have been very effective going back, Rich Rod, Stratton, again, like even Sam Howard, like what a pickup. Sam Howard has looked so good. Like I can't say anything bad about Howard. I don't think we ever have. It's not as his numbers are Hartley-like. I mean, it's still a 2.30 ERA, but he's looks solid every time he comes out there also.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the bullpen it's like you said.
I apologize not to cut you off. I apologize. Not Sam. I meant Frank Howard.
Frank Howard, yeah. But actually, so in our online league, it's opening day tomorrow. So I just set my pitching rotation. Frank Howard is my he's going to be kind of my anchor in the bullpen.
Nice. You have to keep us up on your strat league, Jim.
Yeah. But no, I mean, listen, it's been good, and I guess we're hearing some exciting things. Like it sounds like Birdie may even come back this year. Like if Birdie comes back this year, maybe throws a few innings, kind of to show that he's healthy would be nice. He's still someone where like, God, his stuff is just so crazy good, and you just want him to stay healthy because he's got that just elite stuff.
Right.
So it'd be nice to see him come back.
It really would. And it just like, again, it's crazy how, like you said, he's going to come back this year potentially. It's like how he's been escaping some of these major injuries right now these past few years. I mean, last year you saw him go down, and I mean, still a major injury, but I was looking at that almost like career ending. Like this guy's never going to pitch again. Mm-hmm. He loses a rib, to come back. Yeah. You see he gets injured this year, and you think once again, like, oh my God, it's done. It's Tommy John for sure. And now he's potentially coming back to end this year. Like, I'm so rooting for this kid, this guy, whatever you want to call him. I mean, he's like 90 years old now, but still like Rule 5 eligible and all this. Yeah. Like how you talk about Hartley. I don't know if this guy's truly a good guy. I don't know him that well. Not that I know Hartley that well either, but you know some stories behind the scenes about Hartley and such. I don't know too much about Birdie, but he just seems like a good guy, and obviously he's determined and he has a great work ethic because it seems like he's always coming back from an injury, and he always comes back looking just as good as ever. So I'm with you. Like if this guy can come back and pitch at the end of the season, what a big win for him, for one. And, on a smaller scale for the Pirates, what a big win because he escaped another major injury. And now we can look forward to him again, hopefully, next year to the season because we know the stuff that he has. And you are absolutely correct. I mean, his stuff is filthy. And he is just like an elite closer in the waiting.
Yeah. I mean, it just comes down to he just has to be able to be out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, bullpen looks good. Man, I no complaints. Neveraskis is pretty much the weak link right now. But I also understand, no options. This is a weird year. This is kind of like, I feel like, his last shot. Like
Yeah.
next year, if he he could very easily be that odd man out next year and get DFA'd. And so I'm okay with, because the stuff is there with him. So like it's just a matter of him putting it together. So I'm fine with him being on the team. But yeah, other than him, everybody's been performing pretty well.
You're right. And just kind of piggy off of that too. Because I know there's a lot of people are like, they got DFA this guy. And I mean, I'm with you. Like, if we were a competitive team, you're looking for an upgrade. But for one, we're not. For two, everyone's kind of playing for a job next year, honestly. I mean, even this, I say loosely, the stars of the team, the Josh Bells, whomever, right? Like, everyone is playing for a spot, because it's not as if Josh Bell is going to get DFA'd, but we don't know what direction this team's going. We don't know who's going to stay, who's going to get traded. So everyone is technically playing for a spot. It's a tryout year for the Sens. The record doesn't truly matter, although most people want to see it the worst in MLB. And right now they're not trending that way, Jim. They're kind of winning some games, enough to get outside the top 3 picks, I'll put it. But I think what's most important right now is just the fact of having arms. Like even the trade we talked about with Fulmer was more or less just set up them for possibly having a trade deadline move or two and having an arm there to fill in, because every team right now is searching for a healthy arm to use. And honestly, that's what Neveraskis presents. Like, he is an arm, so that's why he's going to be on the team right now. So I don't hate it. I don't think it's wise, but also it doesn't matter this year, and that's why he's there. And I'm all for it too. Now, the situations he's used in, that's more probably on Shelton than anything. But him being in this bullpen, I could care less right now. I don't see it next year, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, there's unless he just turns it on here in the next few weeks and figures it out, which he has shown over the course of our time knowing Neveraskis that I don't think he's capable of being a major league pitcher. Yeah, so unless something just finally clicks and he's able to do that, maybe something different there. But yeah, as of right now, he's just not. He's not a major league pitcher.
No, no. All right, so let's move off of the bullpen a little bit here. I don't know. I mean, yeah. So they played the White Sox last night. What a fun game that was. I mean, it looked like it was going the typical Pirate way. I mean, it's the White Sox. We know they can put up runs. Quickly, it got 3-0, or was it 3-1? I think it was 3-0.
It was 3-0. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just thought, hey, it is what it is. We're in for another Pirate game. But no, the Pirates, they battled, Jim, the battling Buccos. I mean, I think you can say at least this. They don't quit. And it seems like every 7th, 8th, 9th inning, one of those, they're still scoring runs at some point. And at some degree, they make the game somewhat exciting because they seem to come back at times. Last night was one of them. They came back in a big way, and they actually ended up winning the game.
Yeah, so I didn't get to watch the whole game. I watched the beginning of it, and then I watched the highlights. But you knew that. First off, it was good to see Musgrove back, and he looked very good.
Yes.
So that was a good thing to see.
But at the same time, I just want to say, at the same time with that, like, I've seen this from Musgrove. I've seen that pitcher. What I want to see is more consistency. But it was nice, like you said, that he coming back from his injury, he did show this. So, we see at least he's back in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to at least see him there and pitching well. But this White Sox lineup is just so dangerous. At some point, they were gonna strike, and so yesterday it was Grandal who hit a 2-run home run. With this White Sox team, a lot of it is just you guys try to keep them off the base, because at some point, if you start putting people on those base paths, you're gonna give up a multi-run home run. It's just going to happen against these guys.
Right.
I mean, you look at this lineup, and you look at the OPSs of this lineup, and you're like, but no, the Musgrove looked good. from an offensive standpoint, it looks like Josh Bell actually had a decent second half of the game. I know I was just ripping on him the first few innings.
Right.
I don't know what he was doing on first base a couple times, and he again looked lost at the plate, but it looks like he had some good at bats there to end the game. How about Brian Hayes?
Another triple.
I mean, gosh, like it's been a week now. The guy has almost 1,200 OPS. So I mean, it's crazy to think about this, but I actually put this out on Sunday again. But the one thing that we were all worried about was, the glove's going to play, but what about the bat?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, up to this point, he has more than held his own at the plate. And what has been the most striking thing for me is the exit velocity. Like he has been really good. When he's making contact, he is hitting the ball hard. He's averaging right now a 96.7 exit velocity,
which would put him number
if
one.
He had, which would it's number 2 now. Miguel Sano barely creeps past him, but he's up there with Tatis and Soto, and obviously this is over 12 batted balls, so we're talking a pretty small sample size. But up to this point, he's shown that he can hit the ball hard, which has been great to see. Because then now it just comes down to, hey, you just got to work on putting it in the air a little bit more. So yeah, Brian Hayes has been really good. He's kind of injected some life into this team. From a Fangraphs WAR standpoint, he's been the 4th best player on the Pirates this season. So, and he's only played 6 games. Moran keeps hitting. Gonzalez is kind of, he went through that big slump, over the last 2 weeks or so, but he's kind of gotten a little bit back on track. And Stallings just keeps hitting
somehow or another. I mean, he's just continuing that batted profile that doesn't make sense, but
right,
it keeps happening. And I joked about just to kind of put on that. Yeah, I mean, it's like become his trademark hit. I feel that little soft liner into right field that just drops between like the first baseman and the right fielder, right? Yeah. Like that's now the Stallings hit.
Like yesterday, that double, and that kind of set up a big 8th inning. Jacob Stallings double, 81 miles per hour off the bat, double.
Right.
So yeah, the Stallings special, a little bloop over the first baseman that falls in for a double. Hey, whatever, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
He's been doing great. Yeah, so it was a fun game yesterday. I wish I would have been able to catch the whole thing.
And I just want to point up too, think about Hayes, I mean, you're absolutely correct. It was the bat that we were leery on. We know the glove's there. If the bat can come out, NS9 Live is all about what type of player and what type of production could we get out of Brian Hayes, if it's this profile or that profile, and he's done nothing but show that the bat's there. Yes, it's small sample size. That's all we have to go off of. But in that small sample, we see it's not smoke and mirrors. It's not like a Stallings, right? He doesn't have a 1,200 OPS because he's getting hit. He's hitting 80 miles an hour off the bat and getting a bloop double. He's hitting the ball hard. But also want to say is maybe get your viewpoint on this if it's surprising you. Did you know he was this fast? Were you expecting this type of speed from Hayes?
So yeah, I mean, I've watched him play in person a few times, so I've been able to see that. But yeah, he's still super young. He's an athletic. He's a very athletic guy. Yeah. So I knew he was fast. The triples that he's hit have been also very well placed. But
right,
yeah, he's been really good.
But even that time he scored from home, from third base when he just put on the burners. I mean, I know he's athletic, and I think a lot of people around Pittsburgh, same thing. Like he's an athletic person, but this dude is a burner.
Yeah.
He is
he is.
really fast. And it's funny because like for instance, Newman's double last night, got the gears turn a little bit in my head, and you laugh because like Newman isn't known for power, but really his speed is going to give him air quotes power, right? Like that double wasn't because he hit the ball so well. It's because he was so fast and turned this bloop into a double. And it's like, maybe that's kind of Ke'Bryan Hayes to a degree. Like maybe his power isn't totally there, but it's his speed that's going to turn into power numbers. Like maybe he is going to be able to stretch out a lot of doubles that were really singles. And as we've seen, stretch out a lot of doubles into triples right now. So maybe his power, air quotes, is going to come from his speed a little bit younger. And then if he does fill out, right, if he does get some of mama's cooking, as Charles liked to put it, and fills out to that body, he can hit maybe 15 to 20 home runs, and the power come a legitimate way. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Like he's a lot faster than I think I even anticipated. I knew he was athletic. I knew he had some speed for a third baseman. But right now I'm looking at it, it's not even for a third baseman. Like this guy has some legit speed right now.
Yeah, no, if you look at his minor league numbers too, you can kind of look at the speed has helped his power numbers. 30 doubles last year in AAA, 31 doubles at Altoona the year before that, 7 triples in high A, 7 triples in Altoona. So he's getting some extra base hits by stretching either singles into doubles or doubles into triples. So yeah, now it's just a matter of, hey, can he hit the ball over the fence a little bit more? I mean, I'm not complaining with what he's doing right now.
Right.
And he does have 1 home run, so that's nice. But yeah, if some of those singles, if the singles start turning into doubles and the doubles start turning into home runs, then you're looking at a pretty special player. Yeah, it's going to be fun watching him develop. Again, I would have just loved. He's like the one guy where I would have just loved for there to have been a AAA season. Because, like I said, because there was no minor leagues this year, we didn't really even see any of this coming. Whereas maybe had there been a AAA season and he played games, in Indianapolis, we would be able to tell, okay, maybe Ke'Bryan Hayes has figured this out. So right now it's still like we still don't know who he is yet because of that. So just somebody to watch and see how he finishes off the year, because so far so good. Like I said, I don't think he could have asked for a better first week in the majors.
No, I couldn't have asked for a better one. That's for sure. So I think lastly here too, something I just want to talk, we talk about the winning ways. As I mentioned, they've won 7 of like the last 15. It's not that they're out there tearing it up, of course, but they're playing better ball. And we talked about, the early struggles, and especially the bullpen, which obviously made them a lot worse than what they were. So now over this stretch, we've seen, I think, like a tale of 2 teams almost to a degree. Are the Pirates really as bad as the record showed? Or was it just a lot of really, really early miscues and buried them, I should say, in like such a deep hole? Because with that said, we also know like Josh Bell is not going to be this bad. I hope at least. Is this maybe a little bit better team than they're getting credit for right now? And maybe there's a little more hope going into next year.
So I think they're better than like their 14-26 record, right? And we've kind of been saying, we were saying that all the way this year. Like, I think all of us predicted somewhere in the 60-win season between 25 to 27 wins, right? Which still obviously isn't great, but I think that's kind of who they are. Like, I think they're more like a 440 to 450, 460 win percentage team. They're not this bad. And then I think this team that we're seeing now is kind of more who they are. And then still Josh Bell hasn't figured it out. Brian Reynolds still hasn't figured it out. You see Frazier now starting to hit a little bit, which is good to see.
11-game hit streak.
There's still a few people though that just they just haven't started hitting yet. But no, I think I don't know how I feel about like our chances next year. Like I don't think this is a team that's ready to compete yet, unless they stick with this 8 playoff thing, right? If that's the case, then everybody is in it, really. But I don't think this team is ready to be competitive for any kind of championship or anything like that for a couple years.
I think that's fair.
So I'm not saying like this last week or two has really changed my outlook on the immediate future, but I think what you're seeing is this isn't like the worst team in baseball history, right? So like they were on a pace. I think it was an NS9 live that Tyler and I were doing, where like over the course of a year, they would have lost like 130 games. That's the year. So they're not that bad. They're not a good team still by any stretch, but they're not historically bad. They're not historically bad.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're helping us out. That's good to hear. Yeah. And I'm with you. Like, I don't think they're going to be competitive next year, but I will say, I think a lot of people are like severely down on the Pirates right now, which is warranted because of the record, the way they have been playing. But I mean, there was, I think, a reason a lot of us, like you mentioned, we knew they were not going to be good and predicted like around the 23 to 26, that range, like there's going to be under 500, but not a dumpster fire. And unfortunately, they've been the dumpster fire. So I think this is maybe helping normalize the show that they're not good, but like you said, like they're not historically bad. Like they're not a complete dumpster fire. They're probably not the worst baseball team in baseball, as they've clearly shown. And right now, they're proving that they're not, which is kind of unfortunate. What we wanted to happen, with a high draft pick. So yeah, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of moves next year as well. So it might not be the same team, and they're probably not going to try to compete in that sense. But yes, I think there is a little more competitive side to this team. They're kind of showing a little bit, 7 of the last 15, under 500, but they're in games and they're winning some, a lot more than normal. But I think to wrap this up, my last thing, and you did bring it up with Josh Bell, like Brian Hayes gets the call up, right? It's another corner out infielder, right? Obviously a good glove, right? It's what he's known for. It's a third base hot corner, which, by the way, him and Eric Gonzalez over there could be very, very nice defensively. Even if he does steal balls away from Eric Gonzalez, which I really liked last night. Good for the young man. This is my spot. The whole infield is mine. Good Brian Hayes. But so he comes up and you just assume, all right, so Brian's going to play third. Moran's going to play first. Bell's going to DH. All three were in the game last night, and yet Bell was still playing first base. Is this at this point now just awful and done? Should we be completely over with Josh Bell being a first baseman?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's terrible. And it's hard to say that, but he is, every time that he's out there, he gets noticed. And really, first basemen shouldn't ever be getting noticed. Their job is pretty simple.
They're like the offensive linemen of the NFL. Like when you don't hear the name, they're doing a good job.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if there's a ground ball to anybody in the infield, just cover the base, and that's all you got to do. Not a whole lot, other than that. But he is.
Make it sound so simple, Jim.
It's one of the. I said the other day that he's the worst first baseman that I've ever seen, and then some people were like, "Well, what about Pedro?" And I don't know. The thing with Pedro is it was really just his arm was just really, really bad. I know that his last year with the Pirates was just a complete and utter disaster all around.
Mm-hmm.
But Pedro's first few years was actually like a league average third baseman until something just happened and he forgot how to throw the ball to first. And then when he went to first, he just never really made the adjustment.
Right.
But it's just.
But isn't that telling?
Yeah.
Were we really trying to compare Bell to Pedro as if, well, no, he's better than Pedro, as if that's like an honor? We're talking about a guy who's literally out of baseball right now.
Yeah, and I think you actually have to almost start worrying now, because this is now. I mean, if you look at Bell's second half of last year, it was not good.
Right.
You look at everything up to this point, and it's not been good. You just can't have somebody on your team, a first baseman or a designated hitter, who's going to be. I mean, he's been worthless. He's been, if anything, he's actually been a super liability on this team. He's, from a wins above replacement standpoint, he's been the worst player on this team.
Yes.
And he's your number 4 hitter, and like the guy who you're kind of banking on to be that face of the franchise. So it's really hard to see, because he's someone that the Pirates just need. He needs to perform, and whether or not it's because if you want to have a competitive team, it's going to require you to have that middle of the lineup hitter like a Josh Bell. Like that's going to be a requirement. But also, if you are looking to rebuild this and kind of start from scratch, Josh Bell's a guy who you need him to perform so that you can then trade him for pieces down the road. Because he's a Scott Boras client, right? So he's not somebody who's going to be in this team's long-term future, probably. Who knows? Maybe now we'll be able to afford him because he's so bad.
But are you willing to buy Josh Bell right now?
Yeah, right. No. So like you're not going to. Like, I know people are like, this is a perfect time to give Bell an extension, because he probably would just take anything. But I don't know, Donardo. I don't know if you got to hope that he's shown it. So like at some point you got to hope that it comes back, but he has been completely lost this year.
And I think that's where I stand. I mean, I think we've seen enough of first base to understand that, like you said, he's terrible. And this isn't just, I guess, us going Tyler and just saying he sucks to say he sucks, like he actually sucks, and he actually is terrible. And that's true to my hard analysis. He is a terrible first baseman defensively. And I can only imagine and think, and I'm not trying to correlate the two and say this is why, but that's got to be in his head. Like to me too, like thinking this long-term wise, like he is bad and he's a liability for us to be on first. So we should move him because that makes sense. But also in the same sense, if I keep putting him out there on first base, I can't imagine it not being in his head right now. It has to be. And if it's in his head, can that be lingering on to the offensive woes? I mean, is he just thinking, is he just so down and trying to improve on his defense that's why the bat isn't totally there. That's why you see these inconsistencies. I mean, he also has been inconsistent over his career, so that's why it's maybe not as much, but he's never been this bad, I think, for this long. And I just feel like it's good for the team because he's a liability to get him off first base, but maybe this is also a good way of getting Josh Bell back on track, because all he has to do is focus on hitting now. Like, you're just a hitter. Just go out there and hit. Don't worry about first base. Take it off your mind. It's off your plate. You're done with it. And now he can focus on being a hitter and being the best version of himself. We're talking about Oscar Green coming in. He's going to help these pitchers because he's going to make them the best versions of themselves. Maybe this is not his profile. We can understand it, and we can make Josh Bell the best version of himself, get him out there, and just let him hit 40 bombs and hit 280 and be that guy again, hopefully. And let him do his thing, because this isn't working out. And you have Brian Hayes here. You have Moran, who can't catch a pop-up, but it's not any worse than Josh Bell. It's an upgrade. Like, he at least is able to hold first base down to a degree. Just let that happen. Take DH. Call it a day.
Yeah, and I mean, the DH is here to stay, I think. This isn't going to be a one-year thing.
Yep.
So, and I guess I can kind of see, until the DH is actually like in the rule book as it is going to be in the National League. I guess I could see, still work him out at first base because, there's no such thing as a DH really in this league. But like once that DH happens, like there's no reason to put him on first. He's and this isn't like being a subjective thing. Like he is objectively a terrible first baseman.
Right.
All the numbers show it. Every time you see him out there, he's doing something. He can't throw a baseball. Like he literally can't throw a baseball. He is a baseball player, and he can't throw a baseball.
Yeah, I'm laughing here, but because it's true.
Yeah, like he can't actually do it. Like he can't do it. He has no business being on a baseball field. Like it is none. He has no business.
Defensively, yes.
Defensively and offensively right now.
Well, that part too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we agree. And you make a good point. There's the ration behind it. And to a degree, I get it. I believe you believe, and I think a lot of people in baseball believe the DH is here to stay. But I guess until that's official, you don't know. And Josh Bell has to, be in the lineup at some house. You're either trading him or you're playing at first base. So I guess I get that to a degree as well. So I guess it comes down to we need a decision quickly on this DH for Josh Bell's sake.
Right.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So we good there? We want to wrap this up? Anything else you want to say?
I think that's it. Let's wrap it up. Pirates going for the 2-game sweep of the White Sox tonight. And I think who do we have this weekend?
The Royals.
The Royals this weekend. So
could get a few more wins.
That'll be a big series for the draft position.
Yes. Oh man. Yes, it will be. All right. Well, until tomorrow night, Thursday, NS9 Live will be back. We will see you then. Bye-bye.
See ya.